You good?
All right, what's going on, guys? We're officially live to take a little bit of a different episode today. Many of you guys know Chris usually does the intros. Chris is not with us today, but a little bit of a milestone in a Commish podcast history. Our first collab episode with none other than Rumboyz. How's it going, man?
What is good? What is good? Rumboyz Robbie is in the building. I want to say cheers to me, cheers to you, the Commish Fantasy Football Crew. What it do, fellas? Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's give the listeners a little bit of a background on your brand and kind of who you are. A lot of people know you on Twitter, but our followers might not know of you. So let's you can talk about your brand a little bit.
Yeah, we do both video and audio podcasts here at the Rumboyz Fantasy Network. You guys can check us out on YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Make that red button go gray, especially during these dark times. But we're a legit sports media company. It started off as just kind of like a fantasy football podcast between me and my former co-host. We started off in his basement, and then we saw demand, and there was a demand from our viewer base that they wanted more out of us. So we brought on a writing team, have about, I want to say like 14 writers writing for us. We cover everything from play-by-play, NBA, UFC, NFL, fantasy football, you name it. If there's a way that you can make money off of it, we cover it. I do twice a week. We film the Run Report twice a week. And then also Rumboyz After Dark is kind of like our Around the Horn, if you will, first take debate show where on Friday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern time, we get drunk and yell at each other.
But I don't know what I saw last night. I watched a little bit, and I actually left a few comments. I was chiming in. Dude, you guys kill it. I watch it all the time. You guys do an amazing job. It's good.
This.
And you guys have a website, right?
Yeah, rumboyz.com. You see I'm rocking the Rumboyz tank top here. This is newest one off the line. Rumboyz.com, all the hottest articles, all of our live streams are there. Our apparel is there, and our staff kicks ass. And that's where you guys can check out all of our work.
That's awesome.
Awesome, man. So when we post this episode, especially on Twitter, I'll link all your stuff. I'll let everybody know what's going on. Good stuff, man.
Awesome.
All right, so we're gonna be talking about free agents today, and anybody who's following NFL free agency knows that you can't even keep up with the amount of signings that's going on. Like I'm putting out a tweet about one signing, and by the time I post it, I'm already late on another one. Yep. So it's a bit of madness out there, and if you're not keeping up with it, you might get a little lost on who's going to where. So that's going to be the basis of this episode. We're going to talk about who's going to what team and kind of how that impacts any players on the team fantasy-wise.
Absolutely.
So, let's get it. We'll start with quarterbacks, and like I said, I'll go first. We'll swing it over to you, and then kind of do a little around the horn action.
I'm with it.
Part of your episode I think it was last night. You guys are talking about. Let's just start with the obvious one. You guys are talking about Brady.
Yeah.
A little concerned about his deep ball. A little concerned about him pushing passes down the field. How do you think he'll do in that offense? What do you think happens to Godwin and Evans as far as their top 10 rankings?
So, if anything, Godwin and Evans, if there's a way that they could already improve from where a lot of analysts are looking at them in terms of ADP currently, there's possible for them to go up higher than what they are, then they could. I mean, Godwin's a guy that you could probably grab, end of the first, beginning of the second round if you like to go receiver first. In a slow draft that I was recently in, he started going at the like end of the second, beginning of the third. With that being said, with that being stated, both guys are definitely valuable. This is an improvement. We were talking a little bit backstage about how, Jameis had thrown an ugly ball and he had, turned it over consistently. With Brady, you're getting someone that's going to manage the rock for you. He's not going to turn it over to the other team. So this is going to be an improved defense. I haven't checked Westgate. Bucks, they are definitely a favorite in my eyes to end up and play back in Tampa, which, by the way, has never happened in Super Bowl history. the city that hosts it, their team goes. I like this move for Tampa Bay. It's all about managing the rock, and if they can find a running game, no more Ronald Jones, then that makes them even more deadly. I don't know if you draft Brady. Maybe if you're a late QB type of person, or 2 QB league, you could go after him. In terms of Brady's fantasy stock, that's still very, very questionable right now.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, not Mahomes, Winston. He makes so many mistakes, right? As you said, Brady, you're rarely gonna find mistakes. If he's gonna throw it, if he's in pressure, he's gonna throw it away, right?
Yeah.
If they're not gonna get the yards that they're probably might get into Godwin's they're used to, right? But I think they're gonna get the receptions, right? The slants. You know what I mean? Brady's smart with the ball, knows exactly where to put it. Winston's a gunslinger. He doesn't really care. He doesn't really know where he's gonna throw it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think that's probably one of the big upgrades for the wide receiver standpoint. That their receptions, I think, that are going to go up. You know what I mean?
Exactly, and which is going to make a lot of their value in terms of fantasy football rely on the yak. The yards after the catch are really going to be the big piece that you're looking for with these guys, just due to the fact that the playbook's now going to, instead of having receivers run 9 routes every time, you're going to see a lot of digs and slants, like you mentioned, formulated in this offense.
I agree.
All right, so the last thing I want to touch on with Brady is the deep ball thing. I looked up the numbers. Last year, 2019, he had a 57% accuracy on passes that traveled 20-plus yards down the field, ranked 7th in the league. Russell Wilson ranked 1st with 63%. Does it change your opinion at all of Brady pushing the ball down the field? Keep in mind, the dude had no weapons. No weapons. We're Patriots fans.
Edelman, when you still have Edelman.
Edelman's not going to stretch the field for you.
I mean, he's a small dude, and he did what he had to do. Brady had some deep ones to Dorsett last year as well. I can see where the 57%, could lie in there whenever we look at the film. But no, it's not changing too much. I mean, age takes a toll on the body.
Try not to let our Brady homer status change our opinion of it all, but
I mean, he does big hits though. Like I said, when he's throwing the ball away, he's always avoiding hits. You know what I mean? Not like any other quarterback.
Not only that, I mean, calls historically go in his way very well. Helps keep him upright. So I mean, if he's getting the same calls in Tampa and in the NFC as he did in New England and in the AFC. Yeah, maybe that 57% can go to like a 60 if he can keep that arm healthy.
All right, thanks for listening to the episode. See you later, guys. All right, let's move on from Brady. Next guy we're going to talk about Teddy Bridgewater. Now, listen, everybody knows Kyle Allen was hot garbage last year.
Kyle Allen.
How do you think DJ Moore does with Bridgewater coming in as opposed to how he did with Allen?
You gotta be that guy when you walk into the draft room, and when the opportunity for DJ Moore comes up, you gotta do it. You gotta do it sneakily. I think that this is an upgrade for DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel.
Oh yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
The fact that there's a little bit of a relationship already there between Matt Rule and Teddy B, I love that factor as well. Whenever you have the coach and the quarterback having history together, having chemistry already together, having already worked together, they're going to know each other a little bit more. Teddy Bridgewater, I think this is going to be the year, guys, where you're going to want to go and get those fantasy cheat points and guys that can, roll out of the pocket, throw on the pass, extend plays. Those are going to be the guys that you want to go and get. And I think that Teddy Bridgewater is going to be doing a lot of moving on his legs and picking up a lot of first downs. I love this move, Bridgewater to Carolina. It's a sleeper move. No one's going to know what to expect. You're going to feel a pain in your stomach a little bit right before you make the decision to click draft. But I think that this is going to pay off for people, and people aren't ready for it.
I mean, if you fall, I feel like if he falls to you in the later rounds, because like in our league, we have a two quarterback league.
Yeah, we do super leagues.
Yeah. So I feel like if he falls to me in the later rounds with the weapons that he has, I wouldn't mind picking up Teddy Bridgewater. You know what I mean? Hey, that freaking got 1,300 yards, 9 TDs, 2 interceptions last year. You know what I mean? So he knows
Games.
in 5 games. Exactly. I mean, it's also a big upgrade for the Panthers as well. That man knows how to win for some odd reason. he really gets on the field, but he knows how to win.
Absolutely. And on top of that, I mean, interdivisionally, he knows all of those teams.
Yeah.
So him staying in the division, I think that's also an edge for him too. So you can look for a couple of extra wins there against some divisional opponents. Look for some upsets from Teddy Bridgewater this year.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened with the NFC South, but all of a sudden they became like the division to watch. Like out of nowhere. Gurley's there, Brady's there, just everybody's flooding to the NFC South.
Yep.
It's going to be an absolute shootout every week. We got 8 games of that, two games versus each one.
Yep.
Dude, Bridgewater might be a little sleepy pick next year.
I like it.
I can't believe that we just on air we stated that the NFC South is something to watch. What's going on in 2020?
One more thing about Bridgewater. So last year when Breeze got hurt, everybody was concerned about Michael Thomas's value.
Yeah.
Didn't change at all when Teddy B came in there. He was just as dominant as he was with Breeze. I think that bodes well for DJ Moore. You give him another guy that could run those. DJ Moore is great at running slants, stuff like that. Everything underneath, Teddy Bridgewater is going to feed that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Would not be surprised if he flirts with 100 catches this year.
Oh, yeah. On top of that, with DJ Moore, the way that he undercuts DBs, especially on those slant routes like you just talked about, Bridgewater's going to find him bright as day. Think of it like Madden 04 QB vision. That's all that Bridgewater's going to be seeing, just a yellow light just right to him.
I agree.
I just showed my age there. Damn.
All right, we'll move on to the next guy, Nick Foles. So not too much to talk about because we don't even know if he's going to get the starting job at this point. I mean, realistically, we'd expect it to happen because Trubisky is – I mean, what do you even describe Trubisky as?
A bust.
Yeah, a bust. It's been talked about a million times. They passed on Mahomes and Watson to get this guy. Might be the worst draft pick I've ever seen, actually.
Possibly.
When you look at the people that they passed up on to get him,
Yeah.
It's mind-blowing.
Possibly.
Is it too much of a stretch to say that it's probably the best quarterback that Allen Robinson may have had in his career so far?
Yes. That's absolutely positively not a stretch. This dude had Blake trash can Bortles thrown to him. Like, damn. And now
Bortles to Trubisky, and now Nick Foles, Super Bowl MVP, is looking like, hey, I got a shot here.
And Robinson still put up numbers, so go figure out that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to let Chicago know what they're getting, okay? You are not getting Big Dick Nick, all right? You are not getting that Nick Foles. You are getting old school St. Louis Rams Nick Foles. That's what you're – I'm going to be honest. The reason why Nick Foles had success in Philadelphia was not Nick Foles. It was all Peterson. It's all Doug Peterson. It was all coaching. Gosh, I'm talking about the Eagles, but like that's really what it is. So the version of Nick Foles that Bears fans you guys are going to be getting is not what you're expecting. So get ready to cry. I hope that you got extra TP on stock and extra Kleenexes because you're going to be needing it to wipe them damn tears.
I agree. We look at Trubisky last year compared to 2018. He went down in completion percentage, yards, and touchdowns, and managed to play an extra game. So he went down in 3 major statistical categories and played an extra game on top of it.
And just think, towards like the tail end of the season, like last like 7 games is when people were like, oh, well, like maybe it's not so bad for Mitch. So those numbers could have actually probably been worse if he did not get his ish together.
Yeah, he improved at the end of the year, and it might have saved face a little bit, but I mean, signing Foles is obviously clear indication of how the organization feels about him.
Yeah. Really quick, do you feel like that there's going to be a quarterback competition there?
Oh, 100%.
Oh, yeah. We were just saying we hope they go on Hard Knocks. We get to watch the Bears battle it out all offseason.
No, that would be hilarious. Nick Foles not that entertaining of a guy, though. I don't know if I want to see him.
All right. Anything else we want to add on Big Dick Nick?
No, I'm okay.
No, nothing. Last QB we want to talk about, and we said this before we even hopped on the episode, might be the biggest wild card we have at quarterback is Phillip Rivers to the Colts.
Yeah.
No idea how that helps his team. I couldn't figure it out if he was an upgrade or downgrade to Brissett.
So I'm the infamous on Twitter, alongside Paulie Sleeper, where we are very critical over Phillip Rivers. We talked about earlier at the beginning of the show about Brady and my concerns with his age pushing the ball down the field. This is a quarterback that clearly with his age, it shows regression in the arm strength. That man, come week 10, week 12, his arm goes limp noodle. Absolute terrible what you get out of Phillip Rivers once you start getting into those double-digit weeks. I don't think that the jersey change, the city change is a difference maker. Do not draft Phillip Rivers. Do not go into this season with belief that, yeah, he's going to be a sleeper, because I just don't see it. I don't see it.
Can I ask you a question? Do you think the supporting cast around him will do better? So like Jack Doyle, T.Y. Hilton.
Coming from L.A., probably not. L.A. potentially has top 5 offensive weapons in the league.
Well, I know that, but I'm saying, like, do you think the stats of Jack Doyle and T.Y. will get better?
For the supporting cast?
Yeah.
They drop off. Look, T.Y. can't stay healthy. The dude has no quads whatsoever. So there's a concern. Paris Campbell, I love you, brother. I appreciate the interview last year, man, but you have concerns staying healthy. So there's that. Jack Doyle, concerned staying healthy. I worry about this team. Also, did you guys notice that no one really on the Colts offense was very vocal about the signing of Phillip Rivers? We see every other free agent that got signed, everyone was happy, of who they got. And then you see pretty much radio silence for Phillip Rivers. I still believe that locker room is Brissett's.
So basically, for fantasy-wise, don't touch anyone from the Colts.
Unfortunately, I mean, Marlon Mack is probably going to see a fair share, but then you still worry about injury concerns with him.
So to touch on your point that Rivers goes limp noodle by week 10, Eckler last year had 108 targets. Do you think that's a testament of Rivers just starting to check it down a ton? I mean, we saw that game where he had like 15 targets. It was absurd.
I know.
I've never seen a running back get so many friggin' targets in a row. I was losing my mind. I had Keenan Allen.
He was on my
about
team.
to blow a gasket.
I had Eckler.
No, I absolutely attribute that, and I'll actually match you one there. The game where Rivers had 22 or 23 consecutive passes, they were all short range passes. Nothing went past 30 yards.
The guy lives underneath.
Yeah, and even more validation. He did not used to do that. I remember the days where it was jump balls to Antonio Gates on seam routes all the time. We don't have that anymore.
And a lot of the Mike Williams owners are saying the exact same thing. The dude can't push the ball downfield anymore, and it's Mike Williams. What do you go from 12 touchdowns to like 3? It's outrageous when you have a guy like that that's a touchdown machine and you can't get him the ball anymore.
Yep.
Deep. I will say the one saving grace that Phillip Rivers might have by going to the Colts, he goes from a bottom-ranked offensive line to a top 3.
This is true.
Does that keep him upright? Does that help him a little bit?
No.
Really?
The age. It's just the age in the arm. Like I said, for the last 2 years, I've seen it where it's like, what is going on with his arm strength? Like I said, when we get into those double-digit weeks, and I'm even willing to bet that probably by week 8, week 9, we really start to see it go out.
I'm not gonna lie. I watched a few of his games last year. Half the interceptions weren't even because of bad offensive line. He just made stupid ass decisions, like left and right. They were just bad decisions.
I agree.
All right, so that's pretty much all we had for quarterbacks.
Yeah.
It was those 4 major guys. I mean, Drew Brees signed to the same team. We don't really have to address how that's going to affect him. Mariota. I mean, do we really want to talk about Mariota?
No, I'm okay.
Okay, good. Dak Prescott signed with the same team. So a lot of the big names signed with the same team. So we kind of know what we're expecting for them next season. Wide receivers.
Yeah. Yes.
Huge names flying around. Like we're playing like a startup team in Madden. Just trading big names like I've never seen it before.
Force trades. Force trades.
It feels like, with this free agency, it feels like someone's like playing Madden. It feels like Goodell is just like just click.
Dude, it feels like I handed the controller, like Bill O'Brien handed it to his little cousin to let him take over the reins for a while, and he comes back and he's like, "What the fuck happened to DeAndre Hopkins?" Dude, don't worry, I got David Johnson for you.
Who does that?
Well, Houston Texans do not want to make this trade. Arizona Cardinals, force trade.
What's worse is like you pretty much traded him for a broken copy machine.
A bag of balls.
Like, what the fuck, man? Are we getting into the Hopkins topic?
We have to. I mean, it's the probably the worst trade I've seen in a long time.
Dude, it literally is the worst trade. I back to the copy reference. I can't remember what player it was back in the NBA, but dude was traded from the Timberwolves for a copy machine. Like this feels like that. Like this literally feels like that. I should pull up Google right now just to look at it up. But
what makes it even worse is like 2 days after this trade went through, Gordon's a free agent. Gurley's a free agent. And the Texans organization must be looking at Bill O'Brien like, we just gave up an all-pro receiver, and now we got running backs coming out of our ass in free agency, and we gave up our best receiver for him.
No, you got a running back that's hurt.
For David, no risk Johnson.
Dude, I mean,
he always risks. Like how I've heard of running backs having career suffering injuries where it's usually like in their legs. This man, it's his arm. Like how are you gonna hold on to the ball?
Dude, they got double-sided tape on the ball before they hand it off.
Oh, exactly. Oh, and here's a better question. You replace DeAndre Hopkins with Randall Cobb. You have Will Fuller who can't stay upright. What are you going to do? Just throw 9 routes to freaking Will Fuller until his his calves eventually just blow out? Because that's where we're at with Will Fuller. I think that's why Will Fuller has no legs, because he only runs that one route.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So I ran a little thread on Twitter last week, and I told Alex and Chris about it. I want to do a little heat check on DeAndre Hopkins to see how people feel about him going to play with Kyler Murray now. So I put out a lot of polls, him versus Tyreek, him versus Devontae Adams versus.
Yeah, I answered those. Yeah.
He fucking smoked everyone. He beat everyone. Like, he's like the clear-cut number 2, even after moving on from Watson. Like, no, it wasn't even close. I don't think anybody even came within like 20% of him.
Having Hopkins on Arizona, I'm early on. I'm telling people right here, right now, the stack strategy is going to be your best friend when it comes to Arizona. Kyler Murray to Hopkins, I want all in on that action.
Oh yeah.
Like, especially since that defense blows too, so they're constantly going to be losing.
Oh, but they're going to put up so many points. They're going to put up so many points.
So going off of you, so I looked at a couple of stats by the Profit Fantasy Football Podcast. So DeAndre Hopkins probably played with at least 10 or more QBs throughout when he got in, right? Playing with Schwab, Keenum, Hoyer, Mallett,
Yep.
Osweiler, Savage, right? So in 2013, he had 802 yards, 2 TDs, average rookie season. 2014, 1,200 yards, 6 TDs. So he's getting better. 2015, 1,500 yards, 11 TDs, and that was with Hoyer, Mallett, and Whedon, right? Then in 2016, 954 yards, 4 TDs, and this was with Osweiler and Savage. And in 2017, 1,300 yards, 13 TDs with Watson when he got hurt, Yates, and Savage, right? So if people are doubting that Hopkins won't produce, right, with a new QB, there are the stats for you that, you know what I mean, he still produces with new QBs. And especially with Kyler Murray, he's up there with one of the better QBs in the league.
Kyler Murray, like I said, Kyler Murray's draft stock is so up right now, especially after that trade. I was already high on the kid.
Yep.
Now it's even more. If you're in the draft position to stack it up, stack it up.
Yeah, I agree.
Dude, we might see a stack we might not see a QB wide receiver stack like that since I tried getting Mahomes and Hill last year.
Or what about Stafford and Calvin Johnson?
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
You know what I mean? So it's funny. It's like last year everybody wanted a piece of the Cleveland Browns, right? Because they thought they were going to be electric. You know what I mean? With Odell, Landry, Baker. Now everybody wants a piece of the Arizona Cardinals. It's crazy.
2020 is crazy.
Yeah.
Kenny and Drake in the backfield too, like who went off last year. They're just going to be amazing.
After Hopkins, we'll probably dive into the second biggest receiver that went off the board. Me and Chris have had countless heated debates on if the Buffalo Bills overpaid for this guy, so we're definitely going to want to hear your input on this guy, Stephon Diggs.
Well,
do you think he's worth a first-round draft pick?
Hell no.
Oh, man, I see Chris celebrating over there.
Pumping his fist.
So my initial reaction at first, me being a Washington Redskins fan, I wanted us to get someone that could complement Terry McLaurin, help us out, yada, yada, yada. Veteran presence at receiver, all that good stuff. And at first I was mad because I was like, Dad, D-Hop, I didn't even think that was going to happen. I literally tweeted it like, I don't think that this is really going to happen, but we'll see. And all of a sudden it happened. Got that wrong. Then Diggs, who I wanted to come to Washington, I thought that was going to come to Washington. I see the Buffalo Bills give away, 4 picks?
I think it was like 4 picks.
Yeah. 4 draft picks.
4 draft picks. And immediately when I saw it, I was like, hell no, that price is way too high. Like, you gave away your whole future.
Yeah. So, I mean, my take on it is, Eric thought I was kind of like, what do you think I was calling?
You're wishy-washy.
I'm not wishy-washy.
You can't make up your mind on Diggs. You say one thing one day, and then the next day, you say something completely different.
No, time out. So I think he's a first-round pick.
You think he's worth a first-round pick?
I think he's worth a first-round pick. Do I think he's still worth a 5th, 6th, and 2020, 2021 4th-round pick? No. I think that's way too much.
That's not what you said 2 hours ago.
What do you mean? Yes, it was.
This guy.
Yes, it was.
We're gonna have to cut this entire segment on Diggs out until this guy gets his action.
What do you mean?
Dude, at the end of the day, to me, it was a trash trade. I'd give him a first for D-Hop.
D-Hop's worth probably 2 first-round picks, in my opinion.
I agree with that.
Sorry, guys, my son. He's like, he needs the adapter for the phone. # quarantine life.
So, all right. It seems like I'm in the minority here thinking that he's worth a first-round pick. So I'll accept the loss.
Hopkins?
No, Diggs. Everybody thinks he's not worth a first-round pick.
Dude, I think he's worth a first-round pick.
Yeah, but you'll probably change your mind a little bit.
I'm not. I just don't think he's worth the other sprinkles of the picks.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, you got it. Sprinkle.
Shut up.
Let's talk about it strictly from a fantasy perspective. Josh Allen has been some hot garbage when it comes to completion percentage.
Yeah.
His rookie year, 52.8% completion percentage. It's terrible. It's dismal. This year, 2019, 58.8%. So he went up. Still pretty bad, but getting better. His deep ball is something to
not admire.
Not admire. It's pretty freaking atrocious, actually. Do you feel that him and Brown kind of share a similar role in that offense? They're kind of both guys that are used to stretch the field. One of them's going to have to change their identity a little bit.
I mean, unless they want to rely more so on Cole Beasley, I guess, to be the intermediate guy. And then you use both of them on the outside, Diggs and Brown. You move them around. But I don't think that's going to improve. I don't know if Josh Allen necessarily improves that drastically. He's white Mike Vick. Like the guy's a running QB. He's not powerful with his arm. That was one of his knocks coming out of Wyoming. Do I want to see Josh Allen be successful? Absolutely. When the Rumboyz Nation, they're gonna, kick back and listen to this episode, they're gonna be like, he's trying so hard to not rag on Josh Allen. I'm a bit of a Josh Allen truther, so there's my take. I don't want to admit that he's probably going to be the same stats wise when you mentioned the 58%, but facts are facts, truths are truths.
I mean, with Josh Allen, watching him last year, it doesn't look like he goes through his progressions well. So you got your first, second, and I think after his second,
He just takes
it's
off.
run. Yeah, it's like first, second, shit, run. You know what I mean? So I think he really needs to work on that.
And Diggs is a diva receiver.
Yeah,
Yes, that's exactly what I said. He's a diva.
he is.
So I wonder if that's going to affect the locker room in Buffalo. Buffalo has a good thing going for them. When you bring in a personality type like that with the type of quarterback play the erratic style of quarterback play that Josh Allen presents himself, I worry if Diggs is truly going to be happy. He should be, because he's going to probably be the clear-cut number one there. But I think attitude affects this one. But still go get both these guys in fantasy football, though.
Yeah, how many times do we see it on Minnesota where he starts to like throw a temper tantrum if he doesn't get targets?
And then it makes his game even worse.
Yeah.
Like it's like he needs Mr. Miyagi telling him, you don't fight angry, fight calm. Like that's what needs to happen, but that's not. He doesn't have someone in his ear telling him that. When you play angry, you mess up.
Yep.
Yeah, honestly, I think this move will probably help Josh Allen more than it helps Diggs, in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah, maybe even John Brown gets a lot more assistance here, more so.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Definitely takes away some of the safety
pressure,
attention too over the top. You're not going to be able to have a safety cover him over the top. You're gonna have to cover Diggs.
They're not going to worry.
They're too fast.
Yeah, Beasley might eat him. There's going to
I
be
know.
nobody under there covering.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
All right, next one is the news that broke last night, pretty late. Emmanuel Sanders to the Saints. Again, another guy just flooding to the NFC side. I don't know what it is with this division, but like they saw Brady go to Tampa and they're like, "Oh fuck, we better start like stocking up."
Dude, this one, I don't know if you guys were watching the show during that moment. This one, I had actually threw my phone in the middle of the episode when this news dropped. Because once again, I literally read a report 40 minutes before he had signed. Redskins and Emmanuel Sanders, having contract talks. Apparently, we were ready to throw the money. And then, it's happened all throughout this free agency. Darius Slay, Emmanuel Sanders, like Robbie Anderson still out there somewhere floating lonely. Like, this one frustrated me, but he goes to the Saints. This helps out Michael Thomas. I don't know if you need to worry about getting Sanders. He's probably going to be an intermediate usage guy. That's Michael Thomas's offense.
So you don't think that going from Denver – who's Joe Flacco? Who do you play with, Joe Flacco, or who's the other quarterback?
He went from Denver to San Fran. So yeah, he went from Flacco. I think Locke got to work with him a little bit. Then it was San Fran with Jimmy G. Yeah. They didn't pass the ball a whole lot either.
Well, exactly. So what I'm getting at is 2019 he had 800 yards, 5 TDs, right? Kind of a low key 800 yards considering the quarterbacks that he's played with. And the team that he was on was San Fran, who's a run-heavy team. I honestly think Sanders is going to have a really good year this year just because of Breeze in general and the weapons that they have on the Saints. You know what I mean?
I like that take. I like that take. I can't even argue that. I don't know. I just worry. I just worry because that, like I said, that is Michael Thomas's offense, and it doesn't matter. Like, when has Breeze ever really used a wide receiver too?
It's Emmanuel Sanders. Here's my take from Emmanuel Sanders this year. I think he's going to have 1,000 yards with probably 80 receptions.
You think that much?
Yep. I think he's going to have a great season.
We're going to have to clip that and save it for our bold takes episode.
I think he's going to have a great season.
Clip that. That one's going to have to be clipped.
I'm telling you.
So I might have saw the most ridiculous stat differential I've ever seen between two wide receivers. So if we look at Michael Thomas last year, 149 catches, 1,725 yards. Absolutely ridiculous. The next best wide receiver on that team was Ted Ginn with 30 catches and 420 yards.
But that's my thing. He's not Ted Ginn.
No shit, he's not Ted Ginn.
He's a lot better than Ted Ginn.
Okay, let's. I mean, we could like. I'm pretty sure if we were to Google right now, we were to go back to the Marquise Colston days. We're going to be looking at something eerily similar to those exact same numbers. Breeze, if he has a guy that's that guy, he's going to him. He's very old school quarterback-esque where, you know, we look at the early style of play in the early 2000s where quarterbacks, if they had that one main target, that's who they were going to. You know, I think that that Breeze is still stuck in his ways there. In essence, as he is from that old guard of quarterbacks. That's why we see. What was that stat again?
There was 119 catch differential between Michael Thomas and the next best receiver on that team.
Same.
1,300 yard differential. I mean, outside of Michael Thomas, it's Kamara. Actually, Jared, the next best receiver on the team was technically Jared Cook. But strictly speaking about wide receivers, it was Ted Ginn that was the next best, which is atrocious.
So now, all right, so let me try and change this. With Manu Sanders coming into play, do you think that Michael Thomas will kind of have, obviously not the similar year, but the stats that he had previously years?
Yeah, I mean, the guy's still going to get peppered with 170 targets. There's no way Breeze is not going to look his way. They just paid the guy $100 million.
Exactly. It's and he's just too dangerous of a weapon to not target 170 times throughout a season.
I think he'll probably settle in as more of a wide receiver too in that offense. He's going to fill a big void that they have, like I said, with the second wide receiver.
Yeah.
They had nobody outside of Michael Thomas that they could trust throwing the ball. Other than Kamara out of the backfield.
Yeah.
He'll probably settle in as a wide receiver too. Probably. 100%. I don't know if he's gonna have 1,000 yards. That's gonna be tough.
I don't know about 1,000 yards. I'll cut 200 yards, or I'll cut to like 800. He'll have like 858 yards.
But he had 800 plus yards with two teams, with a team that had a shit bum quarterbacks and a team that's a run-heavy team.
Dude, we don't make the rules.
I'm just saying. I think he's going to have a 1,000-yard season.
You better keep the same energy during our bold take.
I am.
You can't wait for this guy to post 600 yards next year.
I want to come back on for that one. I told you so.
Yeah. So that was pretty much all we had for wide receivers. Ton of tight end moves in this free agency. A lot of big names moving around. Biggest contract in history, Austin Hooper.
Insane.
Come on. What are the Browns doing? How many offensive weapons does Baker Mayfield need to just show us that he's not the guy?
There's that. And then on top of that, like, for Austin Hooper?
Like a one-year wonder. Come out of nowhere. Like, he showed steady progression, but just out of nowhere has one great year, and they throw the house at this guy.
Yeah.
Last year was the very first time that I ever saw Austin Hooper owners happy. I purposely avoided getting Austin Hooper on my team because I was like, he's gonna burn me at some point. Like, knowing my luck, when I go to try and get him, I'm gonna be the one burned by this move. You know, last year he was, I say he was decent. Like, for Austin Hooper's standards, that was really good.
Yeah.
You know, but when you talk about the money that the Browns paid him, and then you look at guys that are Kittle, Kelsey, Mark Andrews, Ertz, like, you're looking at those guys, and then you go, Austin Hooper?
Like, I've never seen a fourth option get paid so much. I'm actually looking forward to how disappointed I'm going to be in 2020 when I draft him.
And people are going to go and draft him. Me personally, I don't like the move. Also, with that being said, Baker, if you guys don't like injuries or you're not into that side of the game, be careful watching the Njoku tape from last year. Baker throws guys into tight windows.
Yes, sure does.
He throws an absolute missile.
Those
tight
buddy
windows.
passes.
Yeah.
Which gets his receivers clobbered. Like, if I were a receiver on the Browns, I'd be going back to the locker room during halftime. I'd be like, if you throw me into a tight window like that again and get my clock clean, I'm coming back here at the end of the game and I'm fighting you. Like, no.
Dude, you got the receivers going back in the locker room like, dude, I was covered. I was blanketed. Why are you throwing that pass?
He is so – I don't think that Baker thinks about safety before he throws. I don't think he thinks about, hey, I might actually need this guy later in the season. And that worries me in terms of value for Hooper, because tight ends are already running routes that place them in very congested areas of the field. Slants, seams, things where they got to go right through those linebackers. This concerns me. I don't want to see an Njoku part 2, and I don't like prophesizing injuries. But that's a scary team with a scary quarterback to go to at that particular position.
Yeah.
But I'm not even going to sugarcoat it either. I think a lot of Hooper's production last year came because he was getting – they were constantly losing. Let's just put it that way. They were always losing. I had Hooper last year in our redraft league, and I knew come the fourth quarter when they were down by 20, it was Hooper time. That was it. He just padded his stats constantly. Checkdowns underneath, everything. Let's not act like Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley on the outside and them constantly losing didn't create a positive game script for Hooper all the time.
Look at Hooper's. If you have some time later today, I'm sure that you will. Corona. But if you have some time today, try and actually zoom in on like Austin Hooper's catch radius and to work with and operate with. Before the ball reaches his hands, it's not even funny. And it's because of exactly what you just said. Julio and Ridley on the outsides creating spacing and spreading out defenses.
Yeah.
He's not going to get
the same thing with the Browns. I'm hoping that Landry and Beckham can kind of take some of the attention away. But then you got Kareem Hunt coming out of the backfield. Like, I do not like how many options are in that offense at all.
But once again, I mean, when we talk about that player safety aspect, Baker, you're right. The weapons that are on that offense should mirror what opportunities where Hooper was able to get open and look like he has some hands. But I don't, because of the irresponsibleness of Baker Mayfield and not thinking and considering the safety as receivers, I'm concerned.
Dude, he's going to get Hooper kills. He's going to be like, all right, bring in Njoku. Bring in the next guy.
and then he's going to, oh, my gosh, you read my mind.
Like, going into last 2019, David Njoku was looking at, top 5 tight end?
Well,
I'm so ready.
Yeah, I picked him up as my number 1. And, I mean, so in 2018, because 2019 he got hurt, so I went off stats 2018, 56 receptions, 639 yards, 4 TDs. Average, respectable.
You show him promise.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is why I went and got him 2019. Hooper went 787 yards, 6 TDs, 75 completions. So I'm thinking Hooper this year is going to fall somewhere kind of right in between the middle of those stats.
You'll if we talk just purely tight end ADP, he's probably tight end 7 in my book. Because you gotta respect the Mark Andrews and stuff out there in the world. I don't know. Like I said, it concerns me because of that's that offense.
Yeah.
And that QB.
Yeah, so there's probably a general consensus going out that there's a little concern with them going into next season. The comfort level is not as high as it was when he was on Atlanta.
Nope. We already saw it. We already saw it last year when they got a star player in Odell. And then Odell just dove off of a cliff. Like, it was like, whoa.
Man, if we go back and look at our episodes from last offseason, admittedly, even our end, we all wanted a piece of that offense. Yeah. We were all hyping up Baker. We were all hyping up Chubb, Odell.
Hyping up Njoku, yeah.
Thankfully, I mean, I took Chubb, but thankfully we dodged that bullet pretty much altogether. Rob got stuck with OBJ.
Yep. Who had Baker? Was it
Brandon had
Brandon?
Baker. So
Yep.
hopefully that's not the same situation with Hooper this year, where you might be looking forward to draft him, but tough situation.
One can dream.
The next guy is Hooper's replacement, Hurst.
Ooh.
Weird.
Big weird. You don't think? I think he's gonna be in. You think he's due for a big season?
You think so?
Yeah. So I'm basing it off of Hooper stats. So we just talked about how Hooper actually excelled in that offense. Hooper had 97 targets last year, a 16% share of Matt Ryan's targets. Pretty good for a tight end, 16% share. Hurst was second on Baltimore with only 468 snaps. So everybody knows Baltimore has the stupidest rotation of tight ends I've ever seen. One of them can't stay on the field for more than 2 plays in a row. Hooper had 468 snaps with Hurst. Hooper had 743 with injury.
Wow.
If Hurst even assumes 80% of that role, his snap percentage is going through the roof. You have to assume he's going to demand the same target share that Hooper did, probably fill in that underneath role as Ridley and Julio stretch the field. I think he has top 12 potential in this offense.
You are absolutely correct. I think and I think that Hayden Hurst is actually sleeper value that a lot of people may or may not be looking at. If you're going to tell me that going from Lamar Jackson to a pocket presence like Matt Ryan isn't an improvement, I'm going to tell you that you're sadly mistaken. I think that you said top 12?
I think he has potential for top 12. So that would put him as a back-end tight end 1.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. He could probably by the end of the season sneak in there 2 spots above your prediction, maybe even top 10.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe even top 10. I think that me personally, I think that Hayden Hurst, the stats aren't there, but I think that the athleticism and everything on film is there, and I think that's why the Falcons went ahead and went for Hayden Hurst. They saw, wow, like you mentioned in Baltimore, he's every couple plays. They're either throwing to a different tight end or going, 2-3 tight ends on the field sometimes. I think Atlanta looked at that. They're like, you thought that Hooper was nasty last year? Watch what this guy does. And I think that they're expecting him to be what Mark Andrews was for Baltimore last year and for all of us in fantasy football. And I think that Hayden Hurst is going to pop off and become that this year.
I agree. You got anything you want to add? You look like you're jotting down notes there.
No, so I'm going to kind of sway on the side of you with the low-end top.
I think he's going to be a back-end top 12?
Yep, top Jesus Christ. Top 12 tight end. Holy shit.
Get him more rum.
I'm not a fucking buzzer now. He's a big target as well. He's 6'5". He's another big presence.
Hurst is 6'5"?
Yeah.
My Lord.
He's 6'5" on the side of Julio and Calvin Ridley. So he's another big body.
Dude, he's going to be just like a 6'5", just giant, sitting in the middle of the field.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
For the ball to come.
He's huge. But but going back, Hooper, he's 6'4", but I think he's a little more athletic. He looks a little more athletic.
You think Hooper's more athletic?
Than Hurst.
I don't know about that.
Really?
I don't know, man. I watch Hooper play, and he looks slow as balls.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Watch Hurst come off a block and then run a route. The dude's timing and just hip movement, like when he turns his body to get ready to catch, it's just one solid crisp movement. I don't know about that athleticism, man.
All right.
Hooper looks like, I don't know. He looks like he's just too big to function.
I like Hooper.
He looks like a guy.
That's exactly what it is.
And he never adapted on how to use it.
Yeah, he just looks awkward. Hooper just looks awkward. I honestly, you know what? I'll do you guys one better. I'd be willing to draft Hurst over Hooper.
Wow.
Oh, my Lord.
I'd be willing to let someone else go and get Austin Hooper. They take the chance on the gamble of Hooper. We've already talked about how Baker injures his tight ends especially. I think Hayden Hurst has a longer and more valuable season. And I think that's why you could go ahead and you can safely wait for that tight end and you could let him fall to you.
Our second collab with you is gonna have to be the hot takes episode.
I can't do one better. I can't do one better. He's got that.
I'll do one better. He finishes the overall tight end one. I think we're all in on Hayden Hurst.
Yeah.
You like it?
Yeah,
I like
like
his
it.
situation. Next guy, not nearly as exciting, almost not even worth talking about. Jason Witten.
Do that?
Hold on, you got to throw up real quick. Hold on. Do we even talk about this guy? Is he even worth talking about?
Like,
he's giving experience to Darren Waller right now. All right.
I don't get that at all. Like, if you wanted to go 2 tight end spread, why would you put the person that's damn near in a rocker across on the other side from Waller? Like, you have everything you need in Darren Waller. Like, Witten can barely even still block.
Waller's a beast.
Waller, one of the most exciting prospects we've seen in the tight end position for a while.
Yep.
And they bring in a guy that might be on the complete opposite end of the spectrum.
So plain.
So slow, so vanilla, just doesn't really move. He kind of runs like an 8-yard route and just turns around. It's like that's Jason Witten. I don't know.
He
That's
just
what he
sits
is.
there. He runs 3 routes. 3 routes.
Ladies and gentlemen, there are football players out there that when you watch them, you know it's like, dude, just please retire. Just please retire.
No.
This is a prime example of someone that just doesn't know when to retire. Now, the positive note to Jason Witten playing in Vegas, opposite of Waller, is we don't have to hear his mouth in the booth. You can subscribe to my channel on YouTube for that.
Does not affect Waller at all, in my opinion.
No.
Not even close. I mean, if you're worried about Witten coming in and affecting any of Waller's production, you're sadly mistaken.
I would, if anyone out there has the tape that Witten is going to outdo Waller, please, I will accept an invite to your show and I will chew you out in front of like anyone that is listening. Because no, you are correct. Waller's cash money. Witten, go to retirement home.
We got a little bit of insider info from our stats guy Chris, who's sitting 10 feet away from us. We got the little note slid. Only play Witten during Thanksgiving. If you're looking for anybody's on a bye during what's Thanksgiving, week 12 or something like that. If you're looking for anybody on a bye during Thanksgiving, pick up Witten. It's about the only time he'll produce after 54 years of age.
What's great about that take there from Chris is that it's actually accurate. You can one day play Witten. Perfect DFS option for Thanksgiving Day.
Of course, and he's probably going to be like $60 on DraftKings. All right.
I hope he does not watch this episode.
Jason Witten tunes into this one episode on all the podcasts. He's like, fuck these guys. Who's the commish?
I've had that happen to me, and it's just a little awkward. So go.
You guys tune into your episode and see it? Are you shitting all over him?
Justin Jackson.
Did he reach out to you?
Yeah, and then he unfollowed me on Instagram and Twitter, and
We love Justin Jackson.
he pretty much told me that I could take my interview questions and shove it. Yeah, he let me know. He's like, "You're a dick, dude." I'm like, "I'm sorry."
I'm going to tag Jason Witten in this episode. Let's see how he feels.
Listen what the Rumboyz said about you.
I'm actually going to crop everything that we said about him out and just leave whatever you said.
I'll take it. Oh, shit.
Speaking about big guys that aren't athletic, let's talk about Eric Ebron. Love the situation. Absolutely hate the player. I've been burned by Eric Ebron, I mean, more times than I can count on my 2 hands. What are you looking at me for that? Eric Ebron, so we did an episode that hasn't aired yet. It will air. I go and talk about Eric Ebron as probably one of the biggest disappointments of 2019 that I've ever drafted.
2000
Yeah. I mean, I drafted him in 2019 expecting an all-pro year that he had in 2018. The guy was a touchdown machine.
He was on my team.
Completely let me down in 2019. He's probably – I think I drafted him as my tight end 1.
Yeah.
Might have been the worst pick of my draft. How do we feel about him in Pittsburgh?
I don't like it. Why? Like Pittsburgh's not infamous really for having 2 tight ends. You still got Vance McDonald, who I actually like better. Unlike Ebron, McDonald can actually lay out a block for you. And he has hands. Ebron has neither of those attributes.
No, Ebron is pretty free. I don't know how many passes he's dropped. Maybe our stats guy can get us a stat on how many passes Ebron's gotten hit in the hands with and just really fucked over Stafford and anybody who's ever thrown him the ball.
And what's crazy is his hands are freakishly massive. Like, you would think that he could catch and hang on to the ball. You know, me and Kyler Murray have the same freaking size hands. Okay, Ebron is significantly bigger than both. And the fact that this dude, when the ball hits his hands, it literally goes poof, like it sounds like cinder blocks. His hands are made of cinder blocks.
Maybe they're too big. Maybe it's like when a normal-sized human tries to catch a ping pong ball. It's like impossible to catch.
Dude, it's sad. It's really sad. I've never seen someone be targeted as much as Eric Ebron and not be able to hang on to a ball. Like,
if you want touchdowns, he's amazing in the red zone. Other than that, it's like
that's about his only.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
If he doesn't get touchdowns, I mean, he's borderline useless.
I know he's amazing from 20 yards in. Other than that, he sucks.
Yep. Parents out there, if your kid was watching football and he's like, Dad, I want to play like him, and it's Eric Ebron on the screen, don't you spend that football money. Don't do that. Pop Warner's not for him.
Honestly, I might not even have Eric Ebron ranked inside the top
15.
Not even close. I don't think he's in the top 15.
He's not making it in my rankings. So I'm with you.
That's about all we have for tight end. So we had Hooper, Hurst, Witt, and Ebron. We talked about them.
Yeah.
Running backs. Oh, Lord. Any preference on where you want to start with running backs?
I mean, you already said his piece with David Johnson. It's a copy machine.
Yeah, I mean, a broken down copy machine.
Worthless, but I am happy for Gurley. Welcome to Atlanta, where the players play. I am so excited for Todd Gurley. I think the fact that sometimes with players, when they get a location change, they get a change of scenery, and sometimes that change of scenery is basically home for them. They tend to flourish, and I think that we have maybe 2 to 3 good years out of those knees of Gurley. I don't want to use the word good, because there's going to be that one person on Twitter who's like, you said good years out of Gurley. Okay, let's bring it back decent. That'll be decent. He'll probably pick him up and hopefully play him as a flex just to be safe. You don't want to try and like RB1, RB2 him. I don't think that he's top draft capital like material. But I definitely think that he's going to contribute to your team. And I do think that he is going to surprise a lot of people in many of ways, just because of that simple fact that it's back home. How excited do you think his mind state, mental health wise, is heading into that game, knowing I'm in Georgia?
Yeah.
I'm back. I think that it works out for him. And I think that because of that and how powerful the influence of mental health can be, he's the guy.
All right, so hate to rewind a little bit, but our stats guy, very official, brought it over to us on a little piece of paper. Eric Ebron, 5 drops, number 6 amongst tight ends. The guy's got stone hands. All right, don't want to digress any further. Just touch base on that. Guys, I like these little notes, Chris. Keep them coming.
Yeah, I like that. That's actually really cool.
To touch on Todd Gurley, the guy had 3.8 yards per carry last year.
Yeah, I know.
Does it scare you at all?
Yeah, it scares me. Like I didn't say that I'm gonna draft him.
Oh, so you kind of just hope somebody else takes him.
Yeah, but I mean, there. Like I said, I really think that the change. I think that this is one of those players, and this is one of those situations where, like, if you look at the stats, like, obviously you're gonna be like, hell no. But I mean, if you just look at the sheer excitement over the fact that he's back home, I think that's going to improve his play. I really do.
I will add, the 3.8 yards is kind of concerning. He did have the 31st ranked offensive line.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's terrible. I mean, he's not improving too much. He's going to, I think they had the 24th ranked offensive line in Atlanta. It is an improvement. I mean, he's not going to a top 5 offensive line, but I would not be surprised if he does manage to break the 4 yards per carry mark, which is kind of like the benchmark for running backs.
Yeah, I was actually gonna be like, yeah, I could see like 5.3, 5.3.
Whoa! You're definitely coming on for the bold takes episode. We gotta get this guy on here.
I'm just saying.
With Gurley, he had 12. I feel like it was 12 low key touchdowns in 2019.
Yeah, that's a product of the offense, though.
I mean, we think of Gurley, we think of like he lost it. You know what I mean? He lost the running ability, catching ability, but he still had 12 touchdowns. It's still a lot for a running back.
Oh, and also with that being said and being stated, I think that with Gurley, he's one of those players that us in the media, we tend to kind of pick at him, especially because of the arthritis. So I think that also, maybe that's why, like, in 2020, I'm giving him a second chance. I mean, and Atlanta's going to give him a second chance. Like I said, he drafted him. Like, no.
Do you think Atlanta addresses the RB spot in the draft, which is kind of what everybody online on especially Twitter was thinking? They might go RB early. I saw Cam Akers in a lot of mock drafts going to Atlanta.
I like Cam Akers to Atlanta. I like that. I like that prediction there. Now, how early do you think that Atlanta would reach for that? Because on Rumboyz.com, well, I guess I'll kind of release this early. It hasn't dropped yet, but our scout, Jordan Love, he's saying that no running backs will go in the first round, and if they do, that it will be like from picks like 25 down.
So I think the 1-year deal with Gurley kind of speaks volumes, in my opinion. They're not investing in this guy as a long-term option. I think they're looking at themselves, especially making the Super Bowl in the last couple of years. They're a win-now team. They got Julio still kind of in the back end of his prime. Matt Ryan's in his prime. Calvin Ridley's on the come-up. They need someone with veteran experience in that backfield. And I think if they invested in a guy like Akers early, they need a running back there with a little bit of veteran presence, especially because everybody else, like we've already mentioned it, in the NFC South is stacking up right now.
Yeah.
And Gurley's good in pass protection, too.
Yeah.
He's good in pass protection. So I think it's more of bringing on a veteran running back. I think they still invest in a running back early, but it'll be a good transition for someone like Akers coming in. Gurley will handle the majority of the workload, kind of like how Philly did with Sanders. We saw in the beginning Howard and Sanders were splitting up time, and it was pissing me off as a Miles Sanders owner because I knew Sanders was a much better running back. But you saw at the end of the year, Sanders started taking over and was actually a very good running back, fantasy-wise too. So I think the Gurley signing is more of we have to stay competitive. We have to not screw up the back end of Julio Jones' career.
I don't know. Chris just said something. He said Todd Gurley will hurt Julio's red zone chances. To that, Julio doesn't get any red zone chances. Fuck that.
Do it. Yes.
Hold on. Red zone chances? There are no red zone chances.
He's frustrated.
If anything, like, never mind. I was going to try and see if I could spin it to find a way that Gurley would actually improve Julio's red zone chances. Like, Julio does not get touchdowns. That is the saddest shit.
He's the biggest man alive that doesn't get any touchdowns. Never seen anything like it.
Biggest physical specimen that I've ever seen that can only produce 5 to 6 touchdowns in the NFL season.
Fucking stupid.
That dude has got to be pissed off about that. Like, man, I'm such a good player, but I cannot get touchdowns.
No.
Yeah, another note. Todd Gurley, high-end zone, red zone efficiency. Get that out of here, too.
Throw it out in the trash.
You're ruining Julio Jones shares.
Yeah, throw it in the trash. We want more red zone action for Julio. Next.
If Julio could get like 7 touchdowns this upcoming year.
Dude, he looked promising this year. Remember in the beginning he had like 4 touchdowns.
Yes.
In like the first 3 games. I was like, oh my God, this is the year he goes.
I had him on my team.
This is the year he goes for 14 touchdowns. And then I don't know what happened.
Nothing happened. That's what happened.
And the offense is going way too good. What the fuck are we doing right now? Slow it down, Julio. It just completely fell off the rails.
Fucking stupid.
All right. I want to ask you a question because I saw a tweet today talking about the Vegas odds for Todd Gurley next year. Over under 1,150 yards rushing.
Well, I'm sorry. My wife just messaged. What is that?
That's okay. I know they're distracting. We'll cut that out. Don't worry.
I'm not gonna watch anyways.
Over under Todd Gurley rushing yards. 1,150 yards.
Under
100%. I'm hammering the under. For some odd reason, Alex is going with the over. Do you even want to elaborate on that, or do you want to just save face and just let it die out?
I think it's a bold take.
I'm not going to Vegas with you.
We're going over. We're taking risk. High risk, high reward, baby. Let's go. Next.
So we got under, over for Alex. Over, under 12.5 touchdowns. Rushing touchdowns.
Oh, rushing?
Rushing.
You didn't throw that in there.
Rushing touchdowns. Over, under 12.5. Under? We're hammering the under. Me and this guy going to Vegas.
Well, I say under, but I think his overall production, I think he's going to have like 14 touchdowns altogether.
I can't wait for you to overdraft Gurley. Absolutely can't wait for it.
He's gonna be like, I drafted Gurley. Robbie said mental health. It's improved.
With a new pair of knees. It's looking great.
Oh, shit.
All right, Alex is going to overdraft Gurley. David Johnson's worth a broken copy machine. The last guy we wanted to talk about for running backs was Melvin Gordon. The tandem that is Philip Lindsay and Melvin Gordon, better or worse for Melvin Gordon going to Denver than he was than the situation he had over in LA.
I mean, to me, it's kind of similar in a way. Like, you already got your job snatched from you once by Austin Eckler. Now you're about to come here to the Mile High, and you're going to get your job snatched probably by Philip Lindsay. Philip Lindsay already came into the league snatching jobs. And
like, I'm taking your job. I'm taking your job.
Your jobs. I definitely think that I don't feel like that this helps Gordon at all. This helps him in terms of longevity of his career, you know, because they're gonna split carries, which why Denver won't just trust Philip Lindsay. I don't know why. I want to see Philip Lindsay get more production. I don't like this move because I am a bit of a Philip Lindsay truther and a Philip Lindsay fan. Whenever I do get my haircut, we get our haircut at the same place. You know, I'm waiting to run into him and be like, "You want to come on my show, bro?" But no, that's how I really feel about it. Is I don't like the fact that it hurts Philip Lindsay because of Philip Lindsay still being back there. I'm not personally drafting Melvin Gordon.
So I think honestly, this might be the worst backfired holdout I have ever seen in my entire life. The guy was going from wanting to be a top-paid running back in this league to accepting $8 million a year and just being happy to get on a team. Denver,
really quick.
He's like, "Fuck yeah, sign me up!" Like, hey, I just want to play football in 2020.
He had to eat that humble sandwich real quick, real quick.
Of course. I mean, what did he expect? Like, they thought the guy averages, like, for a career, like, under 4 yards a carry or something ridiculous. His numbers aren't, you know, lighting the world on fire by any means.
Exactly. He should have when the fact that he couldn't see the early warning signs that this holdout's not working. The fact that he realized, okay, they're not putting respect on my name the same way that Dallas is putting respect on Zeke's name. You know,
yep.
Maybe he should have took it off to Cancun like Zeke and be like, what is your agent doing that my agent's not?
Yeah. Or even the fact that Austin Eckler is, if not better, a running back than he is.
Yeah,
I love Austin Eckler. Huge Austin Eckler fan.
Dude, Gordon,
biggest one there is.
Gordon was probably sitting at home watching every Sunday like, what the fuck?
I know.
Every time Eckler had a huge game, he's like.
Which was every game he played. It was unbelievable.
And here's the thing. You know, this is why I think it is hilarious when players do pop into people's fantasy shows and then they turn around and like they tweet about it like this person has no idea what they're talking about. Well, let me go in and compile a little bit of information from us fantasy shows. I'm pretty sure on your show, I know for a fact on my show and multiple others, the overall consensus was that Eckler was going to come out and be a beast. And people, despite the fact that he hated me, that they hate you now, people were even, shout out Justin Jackson as well, stating, yeah, but they have Melvin Gordon, but maybe this could be the offense that you could really pick from any one of these three, yada, yada, yada. So we all already knew. We were all able to see it. Maybe it's because we're a bunch of freaking football nerds and all we do is sit back and watch film and we'll stare at stats all day. But the fact that he couldn't see that projection and he couldn't see that coming in his own future, or no one around him was like, hey, I mean, this kid's tape is actually pretty good. You might not want to hold out right now. Speaks volumes on the fact that he's somebody that should never, ever, ever again in his whole entire life bet on himself.
Yeah, he kind of shot himself in the foot by letting Eckler get a full-time role.
Yep.
Like, he obviously knows how good he is. He's with them every single day. Like, why would you want him to get – the only thing that was holding Eckler back was his volume.
Yeah.
And when he held out, he gave him everything he needed to succeed, and he fucked himself over.
And every, like I said, every analyst, even the guys that are on TV that were former NFL guys, you don't really know what's going to happen. I really like this kid, Justin Jackson. He's on the come up. Oh, I really like Austin Eckler. They were getting more talk during the offseason last year than Melvin before he had even kicked off the holdout.
Yeah.
And honestly, another thing that kind of worked against him was that the team didn't really get any better or worse without him. I honestly think the offense might have been a little bit better with Eckler.
It was more versatile.
That kind of screwed him over. Like, oh, man, the team's not tanking as bad as I expected them to tank without me. Kind of a red flag. Like, maybe my agent should get on the phone and be like, you know what, we'll just sign the contract. Because what they were offering wasn't even that bad to begin with. He was just being a greedy bastard, and he wanted too much money.
He saw Le'Veon doing it. He saw Zeke doing it. And he felt that he was in that same tier, so then he wanted to do it. Bro, you realistically only had one really fire season.
He was never that consistent with Le'Veon Bell and Elliott and all the big-time running backs to have that big of a contract. You know what I mean? He wasn't consistent.
The Chargers gave him a stupid amount of carries, and that's what we used to see stats like, oh, man, the guy would have like 28 carries for like 100 yards.
Yeah.
Like, that's not good, man. You're getting almost 30 carries a game.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting 100 yards, but your yards per carry is in the trash.
Yep.
Didn't it take like 10 or 12 weeks for his mom to buy her own son's football jersey? Like I think you guys can look this up on YouTube. She would not buy his football jersey until he had finally gotten a touchdown in the NFL. And I remember that was one of the concerns. They're like, when is Melvin Gordon ever going to get a touchdown? It was very early in his career, but you guys can look that up, and that is something that is definitely real. Like his own mom did not buy his jersey.
That's kind of funny.
Man, maybe you shouldn't be enforcing your holdout if your own mom won't even buy your own shit. Like, your number one supporter in life is betting against you right now.
Right.
I don't like it. I think Philip Lindsay and him will probably form, at the very least, if he's lucky, he might get a 60-40 split. You know what I mean? Just slightly more volume than Lindsay. If there's anything that's going to save him, it might be PPR. Because Lindsay doesn't catch too many passes. I think the last 2 seasons he's had 35 receptions each year. So he's by no means is the Austin Eckler getting 100 catches.
Yeah.
So if there's going to be one saving grace for Gordon, it might be PPR leagues. Mm-hmm. That's the only positive I can get out of this.
That could possibly be Fangio's Achilles heel is that he likes to do the running back by committee. He likes the split back situation. Together, I don't think that either one of them is going to be 1,000-yard rusher this year. I think together they equate for 1,000 yards.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, anybody that owned Philip Lindsay in the last 2 years knows how frustrating it is watching that offense, watching Royce Freeman come in and take carries. Like, that offense is super frustrating to have two running backs on.
And they don't. And they're the one offense that I can say that in today's modern NFL, they don't need a 2-back system. They literally don't. You can trust Lindsay. It is so painful that they don't give that kid more trust. I don't know if they're trying to reserve his youth or whatever the case may be. It sucks. Like I said, the move really more pisses me off for Lindsay than excites me for Gordon.
Yeah,
you're the greatest.
So that was all we have for running backs.
You're
laughing at that. Did I miss something?
Yeah, you did.
My son walked in. He goes, "Here's a beer." Quarantine training, dude. He's ready for the apocalypse, man.
That was all we have for running backs. The last thing we wanted to touch on was 4 or 5 defensive player names. We can go through them real quick. Perhaps you might be one of the biggest advocates for this guy that I've seen on Twitter. You brought him up a few times, Darius Slay.
Big play Slay, yes.
Dude, I don't know. He doesn't get nearly enough respect that he should earn. Like, he's earned it already. He doesn't get nearly the respect that, he should be given.
So, first, I want to go at Pro Football Focus.
Let it out. I absolutely hate PFF. So anything you have to say, I agree.
The absolute disrespect, okay, that you put on Darius Slay's name. First off, once again, going back to the fact that we're all football nerds here, I log 2 hours every day of just pure film study, okay? If the fact that you want to sit here and PFF wants to try and convince myself and many of you out there probably listening to this that Quentin Dunbar at a 91% PFF ranking, but then you want to somehow convince me that Darius Slay is what? I believe that they released it was a 71.4 or something like that.
Something ridiculous. Yeah, they were shitting all over.
Completely. What I want to PFF, I want you to point out to me who else can cover in man each and every single number 1 receiver in the league. Because I know damn well for sure that Quentin Dunbar can't do that. But you want to try and convince me that one is better, that one was that significantly better. Big Play Slay is the best corner in the NFL today.
Whoa! We're going to have to label this NFL free agency / hot takes.
He is. Like, he for real is. I've never seen a corner follow number 1s the way that he does.
So I will add, he does follow number 1 corners, even into the slot, which is a lot of good cornerbacks don't go to the slot.
No.
Handle guys on the outside. He goes into the slot and follows people, which might hurt his numbers a little bit. He takes the initiative. He goes into the slot. Might not be as effective there, but he's one of the only guys that does it. So I respect him for that. He's a true cornerback that shadows the other team's best receiver.
Do you think he's better than Gilmore?
He's right there. Like, right there. Like, you could literally be like Gilmore, Davius White, Slay. Like, you could literally group all of them all together.
There has to be the better one.
I'm sorry, we're gonna need a tier on this one.
I'll take Slay over Gilmore.
All right, we're done here, guys.
I like guys that they can shadow and they can follow, and just the way that Slade steps up and rises to the occasion and rises to the challenge.
So
they can move around. I'm not saying that Gilmore can't do that. But when you got also the McCourty twins on the same defense with you, like, you really need to move around for them.
So there's 4 letters in the alphabet that separate they might not mean much, but when you combine them, they're pretty significant. DPOY. Does that mean anything to you?
That was a good one.
Thanks, buddy. We're such homers.
You guys are homering hard over there. Like I said. When you have that defense, and then you also got Van Noy there, and did formerly, like, Gilmore doesn't have to do some of the same things that a Darius Slay has to. When you're practically the only efficient weapon on a Lions defense, you gotta be a Swiss Army knife. So I just respect his level of play.
No. Yeah, we're getting a little bit off topic. We're trying to compare him to obviously the best defensive player in the league. No, I think it's especially since the Eagles lost Malcolm Jenkins. It's a huge addition.
Yeah, of course.
But I agree. I don't like the Darius Slay slander on Twitter. I don't understand what people are watching when they watch these games.
He's fast as shit.
Fast as shit.
Is so fast.
I'm worried because he has to cover now McLaurin twice, and he's already went on Insta Live, and he said, yeah, McLaurin has given him, a run for his money. He's like, McLaurin's fast as shit. But now that you got to play that man twice, like I worry for, McLaurin, fuck the Cowboys, but I mean Cooper, like all the receivers that are in the NFC East are going to be probably for at least those 2 games when we got to play the Eagles are going to see significant down drops in their numbers those weeks.
I like that.
Yeah, of course. Considering the Eagles' receivers are pretty much dog shit at this point.
There's nothing to them.
I mean, Darius Slay's going to line up and be like, Coach, who the fuck do I cover? Coach, who's the number 1?
Yo, Lex, which one is it?
Do I just take Ertz? Should I take Ertz?
But that's another thing that I hate about this deal too with Darius Slay. Like, why the Eagles? Like, bro, like you had an option. Why just go and get paid? This frustrates me so much with football players. Why just go and get paid? Why not try and see if you can get the best of both worlds? Get paid and get a ring.
Yeah.
Darius, do you realize that your whole career is now going to be spent in season on the field because your defense is going to be constantly running back out there because there's no fucking receivers.
He likes playing defense.
On the field.
You got to pad those stats.
He's got to pad those stats to be the best.
Time of possession for the Eagles this year is 0. Defense on the field all the time.
All right, so we like the guy. We like Slay. We're all big advocates for Slay.
Yep.
Situation might be shitty. I mean, he definitely went and got paid. We're gonna move on to a linebacker for the second guy here. Corey Littleton going to Oakland fills a massive void for that defense.
Yep.
And we know that whole division is filled with at the very least stud tight ends or tight ends that are on the up and up. We got Kelsey, we got Waller.
Yeah.
Waller's on Oakland, but they needed a linebacker to kind of go in there and cover all these stud receivers in that division. And Alex looked up the stats. You want to hit us with that real quick?
Yeah. So in his whole entire career, he was in 1,200 coverage snaps.
Yep.
Or that might have been whole entire career. So they rank him. I think it was PFF.
Yeah, PFF. We'll let him slide for this one.
87.3 in coverage. So that's 7th best. So he's ranked 7th in linebackers in the NFL right now.
In coverage, which is exactly what they needed.
Exactly. So Oakland in 2019 for the linebacker position was ranked 29th in coverage.
Yeah, they're ass.
29th in coverage. They let up 155 passes, 10 TDs, and 1 interception. So basically, they're hot garbage.
Yeah.
So Corey Littleton, he was he's going to be we're thinking obviously a huge upgrade to that linebacker core just because he's fast as shit and he can cover well. So hopefully, I mean.
Yeah, who is that linebacker for? Tahir Whitehead, I think.
Yeah, slow as balls.
Oh my gosh, Tahir Whitehead, that is the slowest dude.
They're slow.
Especially you got guys like Kelsey and Fant running around there, like
they can't.
Hunter Henry. I mean, you got stud tight ends at every single team.
Yeah.
You got Tahir Whitehead trying to cover.
Yeah, Kelsey and Hill doing crisscrossing. Yeah.
What I want to bring up is Las Vegas now. It's so weird thinking of Vegas having a team with gambling and everything, but that's a different take for a different day. Now in Vegas, having Littleton, this should be an improvement as long as the Raiders aren't just historically the Raiders.
Yeah.
As long as history doesn't tend to repeat itself and just the player can be that much that puts them over the edge, you need to create turnovers. You definitely have to create turnovers. And that's something that I would love to see the Silver and Black do a lot more this year. Especially when you play the Broncos twice a year and you're going up against a sophomore QB and Drew Lock. That's an advantage in a situation that you got to capitalize on and you got to take advantage of. You're going against Pat Mahomes. He's going to eat you apart, so you can already count out 2 games right there for that defense that they're automatically going to get 8 and up. And what's the other team in that division? Chargers. We don't know what's going to happen there in terms of quarterback play. Ty God, a.k.a. Virginia Tech's second greatest QB in history, Mike Vick first. But, I mean, with that being said, he turns the ball over. Easton Stick, if he comes in, he starts for QB at the Chargers. He has a tendency to turn the ball over as well, as we saw last year in the preseason. So I think that this Oakland Raiders offense or defense is gonna improve with Corey Littleton, because there's things situationally with two teams, mainly the Broncos and the Chargers, that they can capitalize on. How much of an improvement it is, just because it is the Raiders, is my concern.
I agree.
Right. I agree. You talked about turnovers too. If only they had like an all-pro linebacker that can get to the quarterback, maybe like a sack specialist. I might rhyme with Stack, or maybe Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack. I don't know, something like that. But at least they're taking a step in the right direction going to get Littleton. So I think that's a big upgrade to the offense. Next guy.
Mack. It doesn't replace what Mack was able to do for him.
No, not even close. But, I mean, at least it's a positive sign that they're not trading away their best player.
Nothing.
Yeah.
The next guy is going to join a team which will probably make them the scariest secondary in the league, in my opinion, is Chris Harris. So he's going to go over there. He's going to join Derwin James. He's going to join Hayward.
The Jack boys.
Dude, their secondary is going to be lights out. And I think it's another team in that division that is trying to load up on defense to try to combat what KC's bringing, to that division. They have obviously the number one offense in the league when everybody's healthy. They need to load up on their secondary.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, shout out to Chris Harris. The man loves rum. I actually I did a shot with him at a club here. Well, not here in Colorado Springs, but in Denver. I didn't even realize that it was him. Like, I was like so fucking. My homie was like, "Dude, do you realize you just cheers Chris Harris?" And I was like, "They had no fucking clue, dude."
You're like, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" I play cornerback in the NFL.
Literally, it was like 2 seconds. Like I walked up, like he was in the line next to me, and he was like, "Yo, cheers," and then paid for my shot. We cheers, and then he walked off, and I walked off. My homie was like, "Dude, that's Chris Harris." Like, I had no fucking idea. So first, shout out to him. Secondly, though, Chargers still that defense is going to be on the field a whole lot, but that defense also has the ability to create turnovers. Expect Harris to probably see a slight uptick in interceptions, because when you have a guy like Joey Bosa on the front line that's going to get to the quarterback, what happens to pretty boy quarterbacks when you got someone that big coming at you? You get erratic, you get scared, and you just throw it away. Was that?
You got Melvin Ingram on the other side too.
Yeah, and they have Ingram. It's either going to be Harris is going to be the recipient of that front line, or either it's going to be Derwin James. Expect one of these guys. If you're in IDP, you could definitely go and grab one of them. I think that there's going to be an uptick now in that offense and the turnovers, and expect for the Chargers defense to have to be the ones to put up points, because we don't know what version of Tyrod we're getting. Are we getting very last season broke the playoff curse for the Buffalo Bills Tyrod, or are we getting bust Tyrod?
Yeah.
No, I agree. Anything you want to add on Harris, or you good with him?
I'm good.
All right, very last guy we have in the entire episode, probably might be the biggest dude in the entire NFL, Calais Campbell to Baltimore.
Dude.
Massive. Yeah, dude. It might be the only dude. His secondary is already stupid good.
They don't need anyone else.
The fact that you add a guy that's, I think he's 6'9".
He's huge.
He's huge. You got a guy that's 6'9" to that defensive line.
Reminds me of that guy from Gridiron Gang. No, the longest yard.
Really reminds me of the
longest yard. Oh, I broke his nose.
Bob Sapp.
Yeah, he's huge.
The guy lifting the bleachers.
Yeah, 1, 2.
He reminds me of the guy from Game of Thrones, in my opinion.
The mountain.
Okay, he's huge.
Oh my gosh.
You see everybody when they get to the line, they all get down in their stance, and then like they all stand upright. and he's a whole foot taller than everybody else.
Dude, and the fact that he is that big and he is that tall, but can fire out of his stance and then sit there and hand fight with the linemen.
Yeah.
This is scary. Guys, draft the Baltimore defense because they just got a whole fucking ton better. They're going to get you sack points, and you may need that extra, 2 points on the sack to maybe win a game of inches. And that Baltimore defense, because of having Calais Campbell now, who is a veteran, who has gone up against basically every damn lineman in the league, who knows what even these new offensive linemen that are going to be coming in, knows what they're going to be thinking before they can even get a hand off the ground. You gotta rock with the Baltimore defense. Calais Campbell sets them over the top even more.
And I agree. I think it's one of those situations too where your secondary will help you pass rush, and your pass rush will help you secondary. They got a good enough secondary to lock anybody down for at least a couple seconds. So there's a good chance that Calais Campbell wreaks havoc.
A lot of coverage snaps.
Yeah. I mean, we saw it exactly when the Jaguars had A.J. Bouye and Ramsey back there.
Yeah,
that defense is unbelievable.
He's the only person of his age that can still get down there in a 3-point stance and do it all.
We saw
he's from team to team.
Yeah.
Bouye and Ramsey were downfield covering, locking people down, and that was the year they called themselves Saxonville for the entire season. I had that defense that year. They were incredible. Mm-hmm. And it was because Campbell and the guys on the line were just absolutely wreaking havoc because the secondary was locking everybody down.
Yep.
So that's a massive upgrade. The rich get richer there. Good pick by the Ravens.
More on you for having Saxonville during that year, because that year was if you had Jacksonville as your defense, that was living proof that in fantasy football, defense can win you championships because they were winning people games.
God, they were incredible. I remember watching it. Every snap, I was like, they're going to sack this guy. Every single play, I had hopes that the quarterback was going down.
Yeah, I think because of defense alone, there was one game that year, one fantasy game I was playing against my homie Ray, and he had just because of his defense alone blown me out on the water by 60 points. I was like, God damn, a defense can do this?
Yeah. He's going to take that the same element he brought to that defense that year. He's bringing it right over to Baltimore because they have maybe not as good.
All the hype that Baltimore already has, the spirit that they're in, they're feeling themselves. They got swagger.
Yeah, they're in a win now team. They got the one of the youngest QBs in the league that just won MVP.
Best QBs in the league. Yeah,
I mean they got all the momentum they need to form a championship team, and you can see that they're trying to win now.
Yeah, I hope it's not like the
Rams.
The Rams hype when they drafted Ndamukong Suh. You know what I mean? I hope they. Honestly, honest to God, now that we don't have Tom Brady, I hope the Ravens kind of do something. You know what I mean? They have so much talent on the team.
Yeah, otherwise you're going to be like the Rams. The cap space a fucking mess.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly.
You're dropping guys left and right.
Exactly.
I would give anything and everything for us to just keep having like different mix-ups and different matchups of Super Bowls. This one that we had recently was excellent. Hell, the only way that I'm down to see Brady is in another Super Bowl is if he does it with the Bucs. That would be very, very interesting.
I would agree. I would get behind that.
You guys had your 6.
Wait, what is it?
Listen, just because Brady's leaving doesn't mean we're not with them. I still rock with Brady.
We're always going to be with
him. Dude, if the Pats don't do well, I got to root for Tampa Bay. I'm sorry. That's got to be my team. I'm not going to bail on my guy just because he left.
Listen, I have a Tom Brady fathead sleeping right next to me, right next to my bed. I'm just going to paint a Tampa Bay Bucs jersey right on it.
Oh, my gosh.
When I got it, all right?
I'll spray paint my jersey. I'll make it a Tampa Bay jersey.
Patriots fans, man. Brady fans. I guess you guys are more Brady fans than I guess.
You think that way?
No, listen. Obviously, the Pats are our number one team. We can't turn our back on Brady, though.
No, of course not. You got a 6.
Tampa Bay immediately jumped up to my number 2 team. If I ever did have a number 2, it's got to be Tampa, of course.
Got you 6 and then replaced they came in and replaced the great Drew Bledsoe. Just how baller was that? I still remember that day.
I think this is a comparison of when Peyton Manning went over to the Broncos.
Yeah, you're telling me Indy fans weren't rooting for Peyton?
You know what I mean?
Of course they were.
He brought him so much joy and happiness.
Bro, the amount of people that were wearing Peyton Manning Colts jerseys to Broncos games, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
That's gonna be me. What's
It's
my
gonna be me.
Brady?
It's gonna be us. It's gonna be us.
I'm gonna be watching Tampa games on Sunday with my Brady jersey on, the Pats one.
Oh shit.
Dude, that pretty much wraps up everybody that we had on this list. We went through a pretty significant amount of players.
Yeah.
Dude, we appreciate.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
man.
we appreciate you coming on.
That was awesome.
Oh yeah. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, dude, no problem. Anytime. I'm sure we're probably doing a lot more collabs down the road. Like I said, when I put this episode out on Twitter, I'll make sure to plug all your stuff. I'll let everybody know about Rumboyz. Dude, I'm excited. Thanks for coming on, and we'll hit you back up again. We're ready to do another collab, man.
Yeah, bro.
Absolutely, and I'll bring you guys onto the Rumboyz Fantasy Network. So I mean, look forward to that collab happening.
Appreciate it,
Dude,
buddy.
if we're lucky, maybe we'll get on the Rumboyz After Dark.
Maybe. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
I've been tuning in, but maybe if we can get on one of them, that'd be good.
I will set it up.
All right, I appreciate it, man. I think that's gonna wrap it up here. You good, Alex?
I'm good. Wash your hands, brother. I'm gonna wash my hands.
Everybody wash your hands, practice social distancing, #quarantine life.
Bye, buddy.
All right, thanks, man.
All right, bro.